Imagine yourself living a life where you are unbothered, grounded, and untouchable. What does this look like for you? It could look really different for a lot of people. And today I am going to be helping you dive in to some of the mindset shifts you can make, the boundaries and the daily practices that you can have in your life to build up your resilience to the external factors that can really bring us down. Our emotions, our reactions, all of these things, sometimes life can feel so heavy and it can make us feel like everything is impossible. But you deserve to be unstoppable. You deserve to be untouchable. And today we are going to be getting into just that. I want to help you cultivate a mindset that isn't just resilient, but resilient on your own terms, because you deserve to break free from the external pressure, the relationship drama, the low self-esteem that might be bringing you down. Hello and welcome. I'm Michaela, and this is To Be Known, a podcast all about authenticity, vulnerability, and connection. To be untouchable is a mindset, a way of being where you are unbothered, self-assured, and secure in your own life. This mindset is all about building up your resilience, knowing your self-worth, and creating healthy boundaries in your life. It's going to help you become unbothered by external pressure or negativity or just everyday distractions that can really bring us down. Sometimes life can feel like it's too much all at once. And today we are going to be helping you build that untouchable bubble around yourself so that you can protect your own energy. To be unbothered means that you have a resilient mindset or way of being where you're not easily affected by other people's emotions or negativity, criticism, whatever it is. It just sort of bounces right off of you when you are unbothered. It doesn't soak into the fabric of who you are, these external things. You know what I mean? This is something that is a lot easier said than done. I understand that. But it's one of the most important parts about being untouchable, because you can't be bothered and also be untouchable at the same time. And with that being said, you also have to have a sense of security in yourself. You have to be sure of who you are as a person. The state of feeling secure within yourself means that you cannot go looking out there for validation, external validation, or you don't look externally to find the answers or to find your worth. You feel it within, which can also be easier said than done. And lastly, being self-assured, in my opinion, is the most important part about being untouchable, because it means that you are confident in yourself, you're confident in your abilities, your judgments, your ability to make decisions. You trust yourself and have confidence in what you do. You're self-assured. These three things really work together to create that sense of being untouchable. You got to be unbothered, you got to be secure, you got to be self-assured in order to have a really good sense of holistic self and emotional resilience. It's like this armor that you have within yourself and on yourself. Are these three things working together full time? And it can be a lot easier said than done. That's why I'm making the video. Being untouchable is something that I aspire to be. And so I'm talking about it today because it is difficult. It's difficult to not be unbothered. It's difficult to feel secure 24/7. It's difficult to feel self-assured 24/7 because we are living in a world where information is at an overload. External pressure is at an overload. We are at a time in life where everyone feels this pressure to be perfect, where everyone is seeing all of these stories in the news and on social media that get them riled up. It is a flood of negativity and criticism and pressure that we live in right now. And, obviously, people say this because it's the internet, but it's true. And so giving yourself a break and just allowing yourself to really hone in to yourself and really allow yourself to become untouchable, to not allow the things that you see on a little screen to really affect you, other than my videos, because I'm here to help you. But you know what I mean? Like when you scroll on TikTok or you go on Instagram and you see something bad happens, like how that really affects your soul, and it affects your day, and it affects who you are when you see people that you're comparing yourself to. I mean, it's this whole comparison, pressure, negativity sea of things that we live in nowadays. Sorry to get like really passionate about it, but it's really hard to be untouchable nowadays, especially growing up on the internet. It seems impossible. It literally seems impossible because I'm like, oh, well, I have to perform like this and I have to blah, blah, blah. Anyways, enough about that. I did not need to go on as much of a tangent as I did. I stopped myself. There are all sorts of things out there on the internet, in the news, in the media that can obviously affect us. I already said that. But our internal pressures, our internal battles that we deal with also affect our ability to be untouchable, as well as the relationships that we have in our life. I mean, think about the relationships that you have in your life. Sometimes things can feel so bound and so difficult that you need to be focusing on another person. You don't have time for yourself, blah, 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 all of these things. Like, it is just the reality of being a human. There are things that honestly make you feel like you're just being crowded over. Like you can't have the ability to be untouchable. You can't have the ability to just turn off your caring and be unbothered and be secure and be self-assured. Sometimes it could feel a lot easier said than done, depending on what is going on in your life. I know I've definitely felt extremely overwhelmed and unable to even think about the word being untouchable. But now I'm at a point in my life where I want to dabble with this idea of being untouchable. So I'm going to be talking about it today. And I hope that I didn't ramble too much at the beginning of this video, because now it is time for us to transition and talk about those ways, those shifts, those boundaries, those practices that you can put in your life to help you become untouchable. It's all about being unbothered. It's all about being secure. It's all about being self-assured. And I have spoken enough about all of that stuff today. So let's go into the actual good tips and tricks and whatnot. Emotional resilience. I've mentioned this word a couple of times in the video already, but developing emotional resilience is top tier first thing that you are going to need to prioritize your focus on gaining. It can be a lot easier said than done, depending on where you're at in life, your age, your circumstance. All of these sorts of things can really affect your ability to have emotional resilience. But making sure that you are prioritizing having emotional resilience in your life and developing ways to practice emotional resilience is key to becoming untouchable. And the main thing here is practicing emotional control, because in life, it could be a lot easier for us to react than it is for us to respond, because responding to a situation takes a lot more attention and time and energy than just reacting does. But while we're building up and developing this emotional resistance, you have to practice emotional control. Learn to respond rather than react, because emotionally reacting is such a, visceral experience. Visceral is like my word recently. Visceral experience where you are just like completely in it. You're just reacting based on your emotions and you're just not even thinking. Instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions, take a step back, assess, understand what it is that you're feeling, understand what it is that you're wanting to do, what you're trying to get out of a situation, and then move forward. Control your emotions. Step one. Also, understanding your triggers, identifying what it is that brings up those feelings of anger or sadness, anxiety, worrying. I mean, anxiety, worrying, the same thing, but kind of different. But understanding what it is that bring up your emotional triggers, identifying them, analyzing them, and seeing what it is that you can try to do next time when you're feeling, oh, I'm feeling anger. What is it that triggered my anger? Really get to the root cause. When you identify what affects you, you are then able to work on desensitizing yourself to those triggers. This does not mean going numb, but it means that you are bringing down your emotional reaction. You are centering within yourself, and you are not letting your emotions dictate how your life is going, how your day is going. You are just letting yourself be and analyze and just really focusing on calming yourself instead of being up here with your emotions and reacting at that level. It's all about trying to find balance and trying to understand yourself and your emotions and not letting them rule your life. Another thing that I've also touched on in this video is this idea of setting strong boundaries. You have to be clear on your limits of how much you are able to give someone. You have to be clear on that within yourself as well as with other people. You have to communicate your boundaries with other people of what you are willing to do and what you are not willing to do. You need to understand what your limits are. You need to communicate this with other people, because if you push yourself past your boundaries, that is only going to bring you pain. That only hurts. That only brings down your relationships. That only brings down your happiness. That only makes your life harder when you are pushing yourself past your boundaries. So don't do it. You don't have to. Boundaries can look different for everyone. It really is just dependent on how you feel, what you need in order to feel secure and safe and respected within your own life, to yourself, with other people in your life. You have to understand what your boundaries are. And the easiest way to figure out your boundaries is look at the ways that you might be stretching yourself too thin. Look at the ways that you might be hurting yourself in your own life or with your dynamics, because you have to be clear on these things. Boundaries at the end of the day are all about protecting your energy. Sometimes when we are clear on our boundaries, when we're having to be really hard on ourselves and be very honest with ourselves about how we can protect our energy with boundaries, sometimes you might need to distance yourself from people or situations that are sucking the energy out of you. Remember, we are learning to become resilient. We are learning to become untouchable and unbothered. And if there are things that are in your life that are bothering you on the daily, you need to get rid of them. You need to distance yourself from those things, because that is not going to allow you to become untouchable. Sometimes things are easier said than done, but creating an action plan on how you can distance yourself from things that are bringing you down, the things that are sucking the life force out of you, try to give yourself some time and give yourself a plan on how you can distance yourself from the things that are hurting you. When we are on this path of wanting to become untouchable, it's really all about raising our positivity in our lives. Sometimes distancing ourselves, cutting people off, leaving situations, leaving a job, leaving an old past mindset or belief that we have about ourselves, all of these things help us raise that positivity in our lives that we so desperately need. One of the best ways that you can raise positivity in your life is by building your self-confidence and your self-worth. Because when you know who you are and you love who you are and you understand who you are and you see yourself for who you are, you know the things that hurt you, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know your hopes and your dreams and the things that have affected you and how you show up in the world. When you know all of these things and you have that security within yourself, it helps you become untouchable. When you know who you are, you don't have to be looking out there to figure out who you are. Because sometimes people can tell us a fake version of who we are because they're so busy thinking about themselves. It's hard trying to find yourself within another person, because that's not how you're going to find yourself. You have to know who you are, and by turning inwards, which could be a scary thing, but by turning inwards and trying to understand who you are, you could really build up that self-confidence. You could really build up that self-worth. You will be able to see your own resilience and be able to believe in yourself to become even more resilient. Focusing on your internal validation, turning things inward is key here, because it is so easy for us to be reacting to all of the things going on out there. That's that idea of being bothered by everything. That's that idea of not being secure because we're looking out there for all of the answers and all of these things. It's really all about looking inwards. When you give yourself grace and you give yourself mercy and you give yourself the ability to be flawed, you start to love yourself more and more and more. And you start to need external validation less and less and less, because you are learning to see yourself and to love yourself for who you are. On this theme of looking inward, I think one of the most important things that we can forget is embracing this idea of solitude. Solitude and loneliness can be confused, but they're two very, very, very different things. This idea of loneliness is that we are alone, there is no one, we are by ourselves, and that is not enough. We need other people. Whereas when we are living a life where we are embracing solitude, we love ourselves. We love being with ourselves. We are our own best friend. When you are comfortable being in your own company, you are able to feel safe with yourself. It helps you build a stronger sense of self, as well as allowing you to recharge. When we don't spend any time alone, sometimes you could just feel like everything is so overwhelming because we don't have a moment to ourselves. And sometimes having a moment to ourselves can feel like a scary thing. But when you embrace solitude, you are letting that scary of being by yourself dissipate, because you understand that you're a safe space for yourself. One of my favorite things to recommend is this idea of self-reflection. When you are in a state of solitude and you're in a state of looking inwards, giving yourself that validation, looking back, seeing your strengths, seeing your weaknesses, seeing your flaws, you are in the act of self-reflection. And when you give yourself time to self-reflect, you're able to see, okay, how did my day affect me? How has this year affected me? How has my childhood affected me? How have all of these things affected me? And what do I want to do moving forward? Do I want to let things go? You should. Do I want to hold on to things? You shouldn't. The more time that you spend in self-reflection ensures that you will be living life based on what you want to do, because you have an alignment within yourself that you are able to come back to and see if you are on your path, on your journey, aligned with your hopes and dreams. And you're able to adjust things along the way, because sometimes things don't work out for us. You know, what we thought we needed, it actually wasn't. But taking time to self-reflect and be like, hey, you know what? That career choice for me, it wasn't for me, and that's fine, and let's work it out. But now, how am I going to pivot? How am I going to change? You can't do that. You can't have that conscious way of knowing what is good for you and what is wrong for you if you don't take time to self-reflect. When you are spending time in self-reflection and building your confidence and building all of these good things for yourself, it can help you feel so much more secure and self-assured in your life. And it's really important throughout this process of trying to become untouchable that you are staying purpose driven. You see your goal and nothing is going to stop you. Why? Because you are unstoppable. You are untouchable. Nothing is going to bring you down because you see that light at the end of the tunnel for yourself. Focus on your goals. Do not give up on yourself. Do little things every day to get you closer to the type of person that you want to be, the type of life that you want to have, the type of love that you want to give and receive. Live that life now. When you are deeply committed to a goal or a dream, everything else that once felt so loud becomes quiet. Because you are focused on the things that you want. You don't care about the noise. You don't care about the stress. You don't care about the external pressures, because you got it. You are going that way and nothing is going to stop you. Some of the noise that I think can really get stuck in our heads when we're struggling to feel untouchable, when we are struggling with our goals or with our life, is this noise of comparison. Do not play the comparing game. It is something that will suck the life out of you. It is not what you are supposed to be doing when you are on your own journey, your own life. Everyone's life is their own. You don't have to compare with anyone else. You don't have to compare your looks or your job or your love life or, where you live, or all these things. You don't need to compare that to anyone else in order to make yourself feel better about yourself or to feel worse about yourself. Do not play the comparison game. Focus on your own journey, your own path, the things that have brought you here, because everything else doesn't matter. You matter. Don't compare yourself to others. That's only going to drain you. On a similar theme, but also not really, we can feel so attached to the things that we want in our lives. But practicing and mastering this idea of detachment is key to becoming untouchable. You have to detach yourself from the things that you want out of life, from the things that you have in your life. You have to detach yourself from these things in order to become untouchable, unbothered, secure, and self-assured. I swear to you. And it sounds a lot more difficult than it actually is. Focus. When you put your attention on the effort that you are putting into your life, you will feel so much more successful than you would if you were focused on the outcomes. It's all about falling in love with the journey rather than the destination. How many times have you heard that? Or something similar to that? It's all about the journey, not the destination. That is how you can help yourself feel happier and more secure, unbothered, self-assured. I know I've said it like a million times right now, but when you fall in love with the journey and you take yourself away, you detach yourself from the outcomes or the things that you want, or taking yourself away from the external judgments that you might be, receiving in your life, whether it's on social media, whether it's from your family or your friends or your partner, whatever it is. When you take that pressure to perform, when you take that pressure to perform and get to the destination that you want to be at from yourself, and you fall in love with the little mundane things, the everyday things of being like, you know what, I'm doing the best that I can. And I'm going to get there one day, and I'm going to fall in love with my life again and again every single day, and appreciate myself for putting myself out there and just trying to do the best I can. Practice detachment, master detachment, because that is going to bring you such an ease into your life. Detachment is a rather complex feeling, but it's very simple when you think about it. Go into your own research about that one. Read those books on detachment. I swear in my life, it's helped me. And you go through phases of more attachment, more detachment, whatever it is. Mastering detachment is extremely essential when trying to become untouchable. They're like synonymous. All of this can be easier said than done when you are on your own journey. You're trying to become untouchable and you're trying to practice all of these things that I previously mentioned, but the people in your life aren't there. If they are not loving their journey and trying to embrace themselves, being secure within themselves, self-assured, and, just unbothered by things, when you are around people who are on that more negative wavelength, it will bring you down. And sometimes what you have to do throughout this process is consciously surround yourself with the people who bring you up. And this might mean letting people go that bring you down. This might mean distancing yourself from friends or family members that just suck the energy out of you. You know it. Deep down in your heart. You know the people who lift you up versus the people who bring you down. Distancing yourself from these types of people can help you more than hurt you. You deserve to have a supportive group around you who love you, who want to lift you up and challenge you in positive ways and support you rather than bring you down. Try to seek out relationships that are uplifting and supportive. Your social circle should be a safe space for you where you are supported no matter what. So think about that. That's food for thought. It could be a lot easier said than done, but you deserve to have good people in your life who see your quality of character and just want the best for you. By incorporating all of these things into your life, you can create a strong sense of inner peace and confidence within yourself. When you are able to take all of these practices and boundaries and shifts and you really dedicate yourself to trying to become untouchable, you will get there. faster than if you never tried at all. And today is the first step to you becoming more unbothered, more secure, more self-assured, because those things, as I've said a million times, are at the heart of being untouchable. You deserve to create that bubble that shields you from external negativity and pressure, and allow yourself to confidently, securely, and happily be you. Being untouchable is not about closing yourself off. It's all about inner strength, boundaries, and having a strong sense of self. I hope that I helped you feel empowered and invigorated to wanting to have more of those things in your life. The untouchable mindset is all about reclaiming your inner peace, finding confidence in who you are, and letting go of what doesn't serve you. You are stronger than you know. And now it is time for our question of the week. What aspect of being untouchable do you feel as though you struggle with the most? Why do you think that is? Thank you for watching this week's episode. I am really wanting to learn how to become more untouchable, so this was a fun episode for me to research and record, because this is something I think I struggle with in my own life. Sometimes I'm better at it. Sometimes I'm not as good at it. I don't know. This was a fun episode and I hope you enjoyed. With that being said, follow me on Instagram at @tobeknownpod and on TikTok at @tobeknownpod. If you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't be afraid to subscribe. Don't be afraid. If you're watching on Spotify, please give it a 5-star review. It helps a lot more than you know. And with all that being said, I will be back with another video next week. Stay true to you. Bye.